Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my October wrap up, all the books that I read in October. Kind of in a different setup. We moved this chair into our office and it's so great because I don't have to move anything around in the background. I can just sit here in it and start chatting, but I'm closer to the ground so the dogs will probably be in and out. I only have 4 of these books physically. Either I own them or I borrowed them in the library. The rest I will put on the screen. The majority or a good bit of October I was kind of in a slump. I read one of these books in a reading vlog and I just couldn't read after that, and then I listened to a lot of audiobooks, so a lot of these books I listened to and I had a great grand old time doing that. So and then I kind of slowly got out of my slump and found another 5-star read. So 2 5-star reads in October, which is a slay. So I also have my coffee from Starbucks, which I am just so excited about. So let's just get cozy and chat, shall we? First, I read The Off-Limits Rule by Sarah Adams. I reread this on audio and it was so good. I read this a couple years ago and all of her books are being traditionally published, like her indie books are being traditionally published, and I absolutely love this. I loved this the first time, I loved it the second time. It's like a brother's best friend single parent situation and it's just so good. I could not stop listening. I listened to it probably in a day or 2 and I'm so excited for The Temporary Roomie. It comes out tomorrow and I cannot wait to listen to that one. I just love Sarah Adams books and rereading them on audio is just so much fun. I really got into my audiobook era this month. I just love listening because I just had little attention span for actually physically reading. So listening is just a great time. I love her books. The characters are just so sweet. And this is also closed door and I just love it. I've raved about it a lot and it was just a great time. I feel like her audiobooks are really good as well, so if you want to listen to them, highly recommend. Next, I read The Firelight Apprentice by Bree Paulson. Also, I started a reading vlog around this time, so a few of these books I read in a reading vlog. And this is a little graphic novel that just released, I think, a few days ago. And it's the same author as Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch. I love those, and so I was very excited about this. I requested an ARC on NetGalley of this, and basically it's about this girl who needs like a magician or like someone to help her learn her magic. Obviously that's why it's called an apprentice. The title is The Firelight Apprentice. But basically she's just learning her magic. She lives with her dad and her sister and you're just following her. It's a graphic novel, but I feel like I was so invested in the story and was so intrigued and wanted to keep reading. I read it in one sitting, obviously, because graphic novels are so short, and I just had a lovely time reading this. I highly recommend. I gave it 4 stars. Also, The Off-Limits Rule I gave 5 stars. A great reread. I just love her art style and I feel like the storyline was very interesting. I feel like Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch are very much character driven, while this one is more plot driven, which I really enjoyed. There's still character development and stuff, but it's mostly about the plot. Even in like just a short little graphic novel, I felt for the characters, was so excited to continue, very invested in the storyline, and I definitely recommend it for the fall. If you want to like change up your vibe, if you don't read graphic novels, this is a great place to start. It's so much fun and I just love Bree Paulson's graphic novels. I wish she had more because they're so good. Next, I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. We have all been waiting for this moment and it is finally here. I read this book and it was absolutely incredible. I vlogged my entire experience reading this. I pretty much exclusively listened to it on audio, and the audiobook is absolutely incredible. It's narrated by Julia Whalen, who is just an incredible audiobook narrator, and this book is just absolutely insane, so good. I can't stop thinking about it. It was just so good. Also, I do have to say I read one book in my October TBR because of my slump, and this was it. And I'm considering that a win because I've been putting on my TBR so many times. But basically this follows Addie LaRue and she makes this deal situation to live forever, but in order to live forever, no one remembers her and you're just following her life. It's very like mundane. There's a melancholy, like sad vibe about it, but I just absolutely loved it. I could see how you could get bored, especially if you're reading it physically, but I just feel like I read it at the exact perfect time for me, and the audiobook really like kept me engaged. The past timeline I wasn't as obsessed with, but the present timeline and like how it all worked together, I just could not get enough of. I love this book. I love her writing and her storytelling. I feel like there's something very unique and very special about V.E. Schwab's writing and this story, and I cannot wait to read more of her books. I don't want to go on too much of a rant because I talked about this extensively in my fall reading vlog, but I just absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars, which I wasn't expecting when obviously I put it off for so long. I feel like the end also was a very satisfying ending. Like, I cried, but I was very satisfied with how it ended. One of the characters, well, a couple of the characters in this book I just absolutely loved. And I feel like there's so many lessons that Addie learns in this book and then you also kind of learn in turn as she learns. And there's just so many moments in this book that I will like never forget and are so beautiful about like the human experience. I don't know. I just absolutely loved it. I can't wait to read more of her books because the story was just beautiful. Addie's life, her lessons, like it was so mundane but like beautiful, and I just absolutely loved it. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts, you can watch my reading vlog. Next, I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe in September. I really enjoyed it. I gave it like a 3.5. Like it was nothing crazy, but I just had a good time. This one, I gave it 2.5 because Well, I read like maybe like 30% of it and then I listened to the rest of it. And one thing that I was so confused about is it's not set in fall at all. It takes place like August to like September, kind of leading up to maybe the very start of fall, but it does not take place in fall, which was kind of disappointing because I was like obviously reading it in October and I was like expecting it to be fall vibes, which I guess it is, but it's more like the transition from summer to fall. So it's kind of hot. There's a beach vibe going on. So it's not really fall vibes, which I was like kind of confused by because I feel like that's how it was marketed and a lot of the reviews said that. I was like, okay, well, this is not set in fall. It's not set in like peak fall, like October, which was kind of the vibe I was expecting. And also the spice was just a little too much for me. I listened to the audiobook and I was just like ready to be done. I could have DNF'd it, but I had such little time left, especially the audiobook. Like I had a couple hours. I was like, I'm just gonna finish it. But I didn't love it, which I was really disappointed by because the plot and the premise of who it's about, I was really excited for, but I just didn't enjoy it. But you might. I feel like I just had to skip so much, but I also think like with audiobooks, I can really feel when I have to skip. Like I feel like the spice is more prevalent in audiobooks because I know like I have to actively skip like a ton of the audiobook. While in a book, I can just easily kind of skip to the next chapter. I don't know. Anyways, sadly didn't enjoy that one, but I have been seeing some good reviews and I will be continuing the series. I will be reading the Christmas Tree Farm. I feel like these books are just like a fun time for the season, but like they're not like anything crazy. I do like the small town. It's like Gilmore Girl vibes. So I would say you should give it a chance because, you know, it's fun vibes. Next, I read One Dark Window, which I also read in my fall reading vlog. This is a gothic fantasy. It follows Elspeth and basically she got this illness when she was a kid and she has this monster in her head that like talks to her and like, anyways, so that's going on. And there's also this mist that's in this town and there's these playing cards, and if you get all the playing cards, the mist goes away, and the cards are like the magic system. So there's a card for like making people tell the truth and things like that. So you have the card that controls the certain magic. Each card, there's a certain amount of them. Some of them have more, some of them have less, some of them are more rare. Anyways, there's a little bit of romance in this and I did enjoy it. The vibes, like the gothic vibes, are really what sets apart this book. The vibe, the gothic setting is so good, especially for fall. But I just wasn't super engaged or connected to the storyline. Like I enjoyed the romance, I enjoyed the story, but I wasn't like super obsessed. Like I have not read the second one and that tells me that I wasn't super obsessed with the book if I just don't care to continue, which I will continue. I'm like 50 pages into the second one. I will eventually finish it, but that just hasn't happened yet. And I was kind of in a slump when I was reading this, so that could also be a factor, like from Addie LaRue. Hi Lily. So anyways, I do like recommend it, especially for this time of year, but I just wasn't absolutely obsessed. I gave it 4 stars. Had a good time reading it. A good fantasy, but like not a favorite. And it's just like perfect for the fall season. So if you're wanting to read a fall book in November, because I still consider fall in November, because it's still hot here, it's getting cooler and getting to be in the fall in Alabama. But anyways, I do recommend it for this time of year. Lily, you were kind of in front of the camera. Okay, next I read Home Run Heart by Haley Gardner and I absolutely love this book. It is a baseball romance, single parent, second chance. So good. I ate it up. I love Haley Gardner's books. They really are just like comforting, cozy reads and I just absolutely love them. I was like giggling, kicking my feet. I just had such a good time. I feel like her books, like they're just cozy. They're like low angst, but the chemistry is there. They're closed door and I just highly recommend her books. This is the second book after Girl Meets Scrum. I think I like Girl Meets Scrum more, but I loved both of them and I cannot wait to reread both of them. They're just so good. This also takes place in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon, Washington. This is also set in the fall, so it's perfect for this time of year. It's set in, like, it's a baseball romance, but it's the off season, so you get like a little bit of the baseball, a lot of just like them together, and it's just so good. I love these characters. Brooks, just a sweetie, and I feel like if you were a parent, if you're going through a divorce, something like that, you would really relate to these characters, especially the female main character. So I just love that book so much. I literally wish she came out with books more. I mean, she comes out with like 2 a year, but I just love her books every time she comes out with them. I just highly recommend, like, you should read it. Chemistry, the banter, incredible. Next, I read Love Interest by Claire Gilmore. This I read for my local bookstore's book club, and I gave it 2 stars, which I have to give a disclaimer. I do not like workplace romances. I don't, especially if it's like a corporate setting. I don't. And so I knew I wasn't gonna like this. Like, going into it, I was like, I do not like corporate settings. I don't like workplace romances. So yeah, I listened to the majority of this on audio. The audio wasn't great either, so I was like, that's annoying. The romance was cute at moments, and I did like the New York City setting, but overall I just didn't enjoy this book. But I am going to read her next book because it's also our book club pick for November at my local bookstore. So we'll continue it, and I feel like the author, Clara Gilmore, is just the cutest. Like, she seems so nice and so sweet. And so this is not to her at all, like, truly. I just don't like workplace romances, so I just knew I was gonna like this. So it has nothing to do with her. I definitely will be reading her next book, which I'm very excited about. So anyways, next I read To Play by Ali Hazelwood. This is a audiobook. I think it might be coming out in an ebook. I don't really know, but it's like a little novella, and it's basically about these, it's like a enemies to lovers STEM romance, we all know, by Ali Hazelwood, and it has to do with video games, which was so fun. So I gave this like a 3.5. It was like a 4-hour-ish audiobook, super quick, and I just had a good time listening to it. It is pretty spicy, which you can kind of expect from her books, but I still like enjoyed listening to it. I just love Ali Hazelwood's books. Like, she does the same thing pretty much with every book, and I eat it up every time. I just love her writing. I feel like she is so funny, and I feel like her books, because she writes STEM romances, they're very different than other people's, even though collectively them together are kind of all similar. But when it comes to like compared to other romances, I really enjoy the way that she writes them, and how like I think she has like a very high degree, and like she's very smart, and you can tell when you read her books because she just like knows so much. Like, I'm listening to this book about video games and how it works. I'm like, I don't know what is going on, but I'm just having a great time. So I enjoyed it. It was spicy at the end, but it was just a cute, fun, quick listen. Then I reread Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage, which comes out tomorrow, and I'm so excited about it. But I got the audiobook. Oh my goodness, the audiobook is so good. I will not harp on this because I've talked about it so much, but the audiobook is absolutely incredible. Like, if you want to read it, you don't need to read it, but you also should listen to the audiobook because it's incredible. The narrators are so good. It was absolutely perfect. It's one of my favorite books of the year, like in the top like 3 books of the year, if not my favorite book of the year. My 3rd time rereading it, and the audiobook, so good. So good, I couldn't stop listening. Next, I reread. As you can tell, I was kind of in my slump, so I was listening to audiobooks, rereading books that I loved, and continuing with this, I reread The Right Move by Liz Tomford. Love this book, obviously, because I reread it, but this was one of my favorite books of 2023, and it's basically a forced proximity, roommates to lovers, best friend's brother, baseball romance, very rich, famous baseball player. That's all you need to know. It is so good. I feel like it was even better the second time. I just had so much fun. I love this book so much. I cannot wait to reread Caught Up. 5 stars for my reread, of course. All I put in my notes was it was even better the second time, because it was. I just love this book. If you haven't read this series, I highly recommend it. Sports romance. And I skipped the first one, or like I DNF'd the first one, but the second one and the third one are my favorites. And I also love the 4th one, which is Play Along. And then there's another one coming out in 2025. But if you love sports romances, even if you don't, I feel like you'll love this. I feel like this book, like the romance is very like soft and quiet. The female main character is all about like acts of service. Like the things, like the little things he would do for the female main character is just so sweet. I eat it up. I just love these characters. And I feel like also Indy, which is the female main character, is very much like, she's kind of like one of us. She's a book girly. She loves to read. She loves color. She just loves all these things that we love. So I feel like you'll really like her. And also the moment character is just the best. I love this book, and I cannot wait to reread Caught Up next. I just had so much fun, and this really helped me get out of my slump. I was just so excited to pick it up. I like could not pick up a book. Like, I would pick it up, read like 50 pages, 30 pages, a chapter, or put it down. I was in that situation where like you cannot get past like the 50-page mark. That's how I felt when I picked this up. I was able to get past that because I just love this book so much, so that really helped my slump. So that's a slide. Next, I read Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which I'm so excited about. Not that I've been putting this off. I honestly felt like I didn't plan to ever read this book. I read Once Upon a Broken Heart, the trilogy. Absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite books of all time, specifically Curse for True Love. I love it so much. And this technically comes before that. Not technically, it does come before that. And I was just never really like inclined to pick it up because I knew it happened before Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I didn't read it in order, so I was like, I don't think I'm gonna read it. And then Spectacular came out, and it's absolutely stunning, and I need to read that, so I decided to start reading Caraval. I absolutely love this book. Like, it was so good. I think I'm giving like a 4.25. I don't really know. I need to finish the series before I give my like final rating, but I just had so much fun with this book. It's like about this girl who goes to this game called Caraval, but it's kind of like a carnival. You don't really know what to believe. Everything is like not what it seems kind of situation, and this does, like, as it come before Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I did not read that, or I read that before this, so I know the end of the series is going to spoil, or like has been spoiled for me because I read it out of order, but I don't really care. I'm having a great time, and I feel like most people that read this after Once Upon a Broken Heart didn't enjoy this as much because Once Upon a Broken Heart is just so good, but I'm loving this. And I think also that could have had to do with I didn't love Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I really enjoyed The Ballad of Never After, but the end of The Ballad of Never After and then Curse for True Love really like amped up that series for me and made it a favorite. While the first book like wasn't insanely good to me, for me A Curse for True Love is just like the standout in that series. So I feel like Caraval, like almost I think I liked it more than Once Upon a Broken Heart specifically because like it was just a little bit slow. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I just didn't love, like I love the series as a whole, Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I really love A Curse for True Love. And so I feel like that's why I love this more, because I feel like this is as good as at least like the first book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, if not the second one. I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I love the romance in this too. I absolutely ate it up. And I feel like people call it like a fever dream because you really don't know what to believe. You don't know what's going on. And even if you go into the second one, you're learning about things that happened in the first one. You're like, oh, I thought that was this and it wasn't. Like you don't know what to believe and you don't know what's going to happen next, which is just so fun. I just had a great time and I'm currently reading the second one and loving it. So love this. Also, I listened to a tiny bit of it on audio and I enjoyed the audiobook as well, but I feel like I was enjoying it more physically. So I read the majority of it physically, but love this book. Highly recommend this series. If you haven't read Once Upon a Broken Heart, go into this because you're supposed to read it before, but I just didn't. But so far, I'm like still obviously absolutely loving my time. We'll see how I feel at the end of finale, like what I think, because it is kind of spoiled for me, but I also don't really remember because it's been a while since I read it, and also kind of enjoy knowing a little bit about like that series and the Magnificent North and things like that. Anyway, so love this book, highly recommend it. It's also such an easy fantasy. It's like a fairy tale like kind of vibe, and it's just like so fun and interesting. Stephanie Garber's writing is so good. It's so like magical, whimsical. Just loved it. Then I read Holiday Hostilities by Katie Bailey. I beta read this book, so I won't give too much at all about this book because it's not out yet. It's not even out for ARC readers, but I just had such a good time reading this. It's like a perfect book for the holiday season. It's the second book after Season Scheming. So read Season Schemings in preparation for this one. This is a hockey romance, kind of an enemies to lover situation. I absolutely loved it. I have been beta reading the past couple of releases of Katie Bailey's books. I just have a great time. I'm so honored that I get to beta read because it's so fun. I just love her books, so definitely recommend this. It's closed door and it comes out I think November 21st, 23rd. I can't remember. Let me look. November 22nd is when it comes out. So, and then lastly, I read Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and I cannot believe that I read this. Oh my goodness, I binged it the last day of the month on Halloween, and it was just absolutely incredible. I gave it 5 stars. I don't think I'm gonna say much at all about this book because I don't know, I just feel like me and this book have a special bond. I just loved it so much, and I went in blind. I highly recommend you going in blind. Also, it just kind of opened for ARC readers, so I am gonna kind of leave it at, whenever I think about this book, my stomach hurts because it's just that good. I love these characters, the way Abby Jimenez writes. I cannot put the book down. I literally physically cannot put the book down. I just know it's going to be like, I have to read it in one sitting basically. It was just like beautiful, kind of gut-wrenching, but like so good. With Abby Jimenez's books, you're laughing, having a good time, and then she like literally hits you in the sternum and you're like, oh, okay. So just the same as her other books, I would say definitely check trigger warnings for this if you're gonna read it. If you get an ARC or for when it comes out, it is like the content warnings are at the very beginning of the book. So it is like a rom-com, but also it's kind of not a rom-com because it does have a lot of trigger warnings, but it's also like so funny. Like Abby Jimenez is just so funny. So you're like laughing, but you're also crying. So anyways, I think that's all I'm gonna say about that one. I am gonna put my review up probably on Goodreads eventually, but I don't know. I did get my wish granted from Abby Jimenez's Facebook group, and then it went up on NetGalley and Needlewise, and I'm auto approved for forever on NetGalley, so I would have got it the next day on November 1st, but I did get it on the day that Abby Jimenez did the whole like grant your wish on NetGalley situation, which I'm very thankful for, but it's now up to request on NetGalley and stuff. So loved it so much. Oh, I'm obsessed. So 5 stars for that, and that is it. That is all the books that I read in October. I feel like it was kind of a slower month for me, like in the sense that most of these books I listened to, which I had a great time. Like listening counts as reading obviously, but I feel like if I didn't listen to all the books, I would have read a lot less this month. And usually I just read physically a lot of books a month, but this month I was kind of in a slump. I was kind of like watching TV, watching more YouTube and stuff, so I didn't read as much, and I did like listen to a lot of these. Anyways, that is all the books that I read in October. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you read in October, what you want to read in November. I think that's it for this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.